Just the other day, I had the chance to pick up the new AAP01 adjustable trigger, which is essentially very similar to the previous favorite CowCow G series adjustable trigger. I just wanted to give a quick show of the differences between the two here. So to start off with the one that people are more aware of, or that is the kind of favorite currently, is the CowCow G series trigger. You can see aesthetically, it's black and then actually comes with a few different color of the, or actually you can get different colors on the outside, I believe, and then on the inside it actually comes with different colors. And then you can adjust it by, let's see if we can get some good light here. So you can see the trigger moving there. You can adjust it via see, this one's very hard to see because it's black. But here, there's a grub screw which you can use to essentially adjust the trigger pull by adjusting how much the trigger goes back, because the grub screw comes and holds against the trigger bar here. So for me, I like it to have a short, of course, and with little take up. So I have it back all the way, and you can see it is very little take up here. It's a tiny, tiny bit. It's a tiny bit of take up, about that much take up, and then there. Functionally, when you're pulling the trigger, you barely feel the take up, because unless you're really, really pulling it slow. Now, to compare that to the AAP01 adjustable trigger just brought out by AAC, you can see that aesthetically it's a bit busier, if you will, whereas the Glock G series is quite flat everywhere. This one has some serrations here, it's got a hole here, and it's got different colors of the roll pins that keep the trigger safety and they keep the trigger safety in and keep it on the trigger bar. For both of these, actually, the trigger safety doesn't actually function. So if you can see inside here, it's probably a bit dark. Sorry, I don't have a bit of light here. But the way that the AAP, zoom in a bit. Yeah, there. So you see, normally this on a Glock, I believe, would go and act against the frame, so you couldn't pull the trigger until you pulled this down and it got out of the way and pulled out the trigger. But then the way it sits in the AAP, that doesn't really function. Similarly, actually, unless you have the trigger pull, I think, far forward on the AAP01 adjustable trigger, then you're going to come into the same issue, because this also doesn't function right here. If you have it forward, yeah, it's black on black, so you can't really see that well in this light, but it's the same issue where it doesn't actually work against the frame. But most people I know don't actually want the trigger safety, and it's more of an aesthetic thing, so they don't care so much, so it's okay. I will say, though, the trigger safety, while we're on that subject, sticks out far less on the G series one, and it sticks out quite a bit here, which personally, especially since it's non-functional, I don't like it sticking out as much like on the AAP. For this one, potentially, like if you have really high trigger pull or something like that, and it functioned, I could see it being a problem because it's so low and so far down. But then this one just sticks out quite a bit. So it depends upon whether you like that feeling or not. It's quite light, and actually the one big difference is that because this comes with different colors, this one doesn't come assembled, and it's kind of a pain to put the trigger safety in. This one actually comes with the trigger safety inside. I believe there's only black and red available, and it comes with the trigger safety inside. And it sticks out like that. And then functionally, it's the same as the G series trigger. It's got the same grub screw there. This one actually you can see a bit better than the earlier G series one, because the earlier CowCow G series one, because it's red on black, so you can see where that grub screw goes. And it basically affects how much travel there is. Insofar as function as well, this one seems to be, I have these both set up to where they're able to pull reliably with as minimal travel as possible, but there's still some travel. I feel like the AAP one actually lets me set it up with a tiny bit less travel, but that may also just be because of some individual tiny variation, or I need to tune my CowCow one more. So functionally, I'd say that they're really almost exactly the same. I'll just put it on. This is actually put it on my Black Mamba here. Zoom out a tiny bit. presuming my black vinyl works. For whatever reason, I will say that the AAP01 feels a bit lighter, but I think that's also just because this is a brand new AAP and I've taken this one apart a few times, and like my trigger spring, I managed to bend it a tiny bit, such and so on. So overall, I'd say that it really comes down to aesthetics and availability between the two. And I'd say I wouldn't go wrong with either of them. Personally, I prefer the CowCow trigger because I prefer the more subdued look, but some people will certainly like the serrations on the one from AAC.